Xu Fango and Cesar Vacchiano, principals of R3 and Grupo Consultores, will share with us today the latest news from agencies in China after conducting the most exhaustive independent research among 500 marketeers. It is the first time these results are presented outside of China. Please welcome them on stage.
Ni hao.
Bonjour. As you can see, I'm Spanish.
I'm Chinese. I'm going to speak Spanglish.
And I'm going to present in Chinglish today. So bear with us. We thought before we get into the whole survey, you should know how the Chinese and the Spanish got together to do this survey. 6 years ago, my partner and I, Greg, when we started the business, when we started R3 in Asia, we were amazed that there was a conference in New York called the Ad Forum where consultants like us get together and share and hear from agencies all over the world on what they're doing and why we should put them in pictures and so on and so forth. And when I got into the room, not only was I the only Asian, I was the youngest, and I thought, oh my, is this a dying industry? Is it just a bunch of retired agency management people now thinking they know better than the agencies? But I was delighted when I saw Kika and Angel, and they're here today, and they brought life to the whole party. And, you know, we found something in common other than the passion for rice and paella. And we found out that they've been doing this amazing survey for 30 years in Europe. And we believe so much that Asia needs the kind of data and transparency on the industry for it to really grow and flourish. And we say, you have to come to China. And the rest is history.
So before going to China, we already knew that there was a country with 1.3 billion people, 1/5 of the world.
And the Chinese census, because there are so many people, the margin of error is quite big. In fact, it's bigger than the size of the United States.
It's the country with the biggest number of blogs in the world,
which Puli had earlier on shared with you. It's also the country with the highest number of internet connections through mobile phones.
Actually, it's the country with the largest annual sale of mobile phones. Today, 584 million people have mobile phones, 44% of the Chinese population, huge number.
Yeah, I'm glad our degree of error here is much better than the population census, because earlier police said it was 42%. So 44% is close. But I think what's really amazing, if you think about it, is that most Chinese consumers, the first button they press is not a radio or a TV, that is really old-fashioned, is that of a mobile phone.
This is how us, Westerners, see the world, painted by a Spanish in the 15th century.
And of course, if you're seeing the world from China, we are the Middle Kingdom.
So let's know more about the Middle Kingdom. Shufeng will tell you.
Yeah, and it's a long story, but I'll cut it short. We talked a lot about change today, and I think Daniela and Puli earlier on talked about change, and China is always changing. There are still some things that are not changing, thank God. And there's a real belief amongst the Chinese culture that you can explain a lot of things, and we've done it for 5,000 years, on how everything works through the 5 elements of matter, fire, water, wood, and earth. And in fact, that's how my parents chose my name, Shufen. Go is my family name, and Shufen was chosen to complement with all the elements that I had missing. So I think the fact that I'm here, they've done a good job. But not everyone chose their name that way, just like not everyone behaves the same way in China now. And we are not going to talk about all the history about China, because someone else has done a really good job with much better videos earlier on. Next time we'll hire the agency to do a PowerPoint. But we want to do a quiz now because we don't want to be boring. I have 20 euros here, and who can tell me the picture on the right, which city is in China? We'll get 20 euros. I'm broke.
You don't have enough.
I'll come to you. And And that's right, the Terracotta Warriors are in Xi'an. And it's an amazing place. You should check it out. But there's really, it's a long way to go. Sorry. And we're not going to talk about the fact that the Chinese invented paper, bronze, porcelain. That's really yesterday. And certainly, we've all had enough of politics these days. We're not going to talk about the political movement of China, from Deng Xiaoping to Mao. But we want to frame our whole China discussion today around 3 myths that we still observe in the world we're living today. And there is still a strong perception, not just in Europe or in America, but sometimes in Asia as well, on the people thinking that China is playing catch up. So we have other thoughts about that. And thanks to a lot of books that you may have read about doing business in China, and that is all about Guangxi. There's always Guangxi, and I think that's not unique to China. It's in business everywhere. But there are other aspects of China that's made it successful. And lastly, of course, we have to talk about advertising, and there's still, again, a myth that advertising in China is backward.